business, no time for joking. He hit the ground running, greatness is coming, pushing and shoving obstacles out the way. The power that is inside is optimized. He's shooting for the star, the target is the mice. He's not surprised but epitomized. Close his eyes and visualize the bigger prize, the legacy that will be memorized. And listen, pay attention to the story as I emphasize. Evolution from a boy to a man just began, put his thinking cap on and proceeded to bigger plans. Rolled his sleeves back and dirtied up his hands. To make a strong impression, you got one chance to enhance and advance you. Any circumstance, it will only make him a better man. He understands there's nothing given, just hard knocks. In between a rock and a hard spot, he come out the corner swinging like bells ringing, bringing the damage, taking advantage, nothing for granted, got it commanded as he planned it, watching it bend into his will. Every day, tighten up his craft, working on his skills. Said he wanted to be a lawyer and that he was for real. Nothing else is important to him, that's his only deal. Go for it and let your work show for it. So when you're no longer alive, you will remember to be known for it. He said that it's bigger than him, for his future children and wife bloodline to extend. I comprehend, watching it transcend, it's something his peers never seen. Beyond whatever Martin Luther could ever dream. For community and bring forth unity. Regeneration of strong men with backbones that snatch those and research homes when it's broken. Stay alert with your eyes open. Times are serious, less joking, thought-provoking. He aiming to leave his mark, ready to go and start. Switching gears to drive and taking it out of park. The leader of his family, the protector, the provider. He really close and getting tired. How to catch a predator, far from the regular, down to the microscopic cellular structure. His emotions rupture, based off his thought structure. Implanted in his mind over time, the same thoughts rewind until he acts out of time and plans it with design. Browse you must stay alert to y'all signs, caution at all times. Don't look for soft targets, stay guarded and departed. Never armless or harmless. Our will is the strongest. You may have to knock a nigga back if he came to attack. You ready for this? Hit him with that like that. Quick draw like a military combat. Came through a wall that like that. So, rhymes from the name plan. See what I'm saying? She was spraying. We're coming from the rhymes from the name plan. See what I'm saying? She was spraying. We're coming from the don't you ever try to look for it. You better off player. What you let? What you expect? The hair coming off of your neck for like respect. Rhymes from the name plan. Okay, what's up?
Here we go. All right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I Mighty Talks with Nuben Menkaris. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Before I start off, I always want to start off in the name of Amen, Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true Lord. And Amen we trust, and Amen we think, and in Amen we continue forward forever. I am Nuben Menkares, and this is High and Mighty Talks with Nuben Menkares. This is our 5th installment, and I want to welcome everybody in. Please hit the subscribe button, like button. Go to High and Mighty Talks with Nuben Menkares. We on the live. I want everybody to share the live link and whatnot. It's going to be put in the American Republic group. It's going to be put in the Order of MENTELLECT group. It's going to be put in all these groups. Share this. Share it all over social media, everything. I'm taking phone calls. I'm doing it all. I'm going to be speaking on how the world would be if it were run by black people, and why do they deny their true American roots. You got a lot of people who are doing that right now. You know, just as a lot of our people are starting to embrace our ethnic American roots through our Mesoamerican ancestors, you got a lot of people that still want to hold on to the Pan-African and black thing, and the whole slave ship, transatlantic slaves trip nonsense. So I'm going to talk about that tonight, and you know, a few other things. Want the room to fill up. Everybody come on in. Y'all like this American basketball jersey? I had these made myself. I'm going to start selling these. I think that all bronze, copper-colored people should be wearing, you know, bronze, copper-colored men and women. You know, they got the unisex jerseys and whatnot, should be repping American and America, because we are American by our indigenous connection to our Mesoamerican ancestors. We are natives of this American continent. Just earlier, I heard these so-called Israelites sitting up here talking about, oh, you know, these people coming and talking about the so-called, you know, it was the Israelites talking about the so-called Mongoloid Indians, that they're the real Native Americans when they are not. They came across the Bering Straits. They're Mongolians, they're Asians across the Bering Straits and found our people here, which I talked about in the last live. I spoke about that. Also, you know, I'm going to just touch on why, you know, a lot of people want to deny that heritage. I spoke on it briefly, but I want to go into more detail. If you like these American basketball jerseys, I'm going to have them for sale, along with a lot of other cool shirts I wear. You know, my Underlord company, Underlord clothing company, which also has a branch of She-Lord. Going to have those for sale. You'll be able to hit the link soon and purchase the Underlord apparel and the ethnic American apparel, which will include basketball jersey like this. We were going to put names on it because you see my name, my last name, Menkares. Menkares is an ethnic American name. Yes, I gave myself that name. Yes, Nuben Menkares was a name I gave myself because I stepped up and I claimed my ethnic American heritage. When I stepped up and decided to claim my ethnic American heritage, I couldn't very well keep the same English name that I was born with. I disassociated myself with that. I'm not going to sit here and say I was born with that name, Nuben Menkares. No. You know, I disassociated with that slave name because that's what it is. It's a slave name. And all of you so-called black people out here who claiming Pan-Africanism, claiming all of this, you know, whatever you claiming, Islam, whatever other culture you're claiming other than your true ethnic American culture, you are wearing slave names, you're following slave religions, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Judaism, whatever, Israelitism. These are all slave teachings, and it connects you to a slave identity and slave origin, something that we are not. We were a free people, the first builders of civilization, and that's a hard pill for a lot of these pro-Pan-Africanist, pro-transatlantic slave trade, pro-black, pro-whatever. You know, all these people, black first, whatever the hell y'all calling yourself. All that's you know, that's all the nonsense. You know, we are, as, you know, it was written in the 1828 American Dictionary, Merriam-Webster Dictionary, we are the copper-colored races, the original Americans. That is the description of us as the copper-colored races here in America that were found here by the Europeans who came in, the Caucasians. We are the original Americans. This is why I rep America and I rep the American, and like I said, my name is ethnic American. Why? Because of my Mayan ancestry, right? My Mayan ancestry, the Olmec ancestry. You look at us, like I said, look up when you get a chance, look at pictures of the Bonin Park temples. Shout out to the brother Kamaru Mao. I forget how the brother's name is. He does some spectacular work on the indigenous copper-colored races, falsely being called African American, falsely being called black. And I wanted to cover that along with a lot of other things. I'm going to put his link in the description. Subscribe to his channel. He puts out a lot of information. So for a lot of you Pan-African, pro-black, pro-slave ship, white man, Caucasians brought us over here in chains and all that sort of nonsense, go check out the brother's channel because he debunks all that and he backs it up with reputable text, because a lot of you people need books to look into, and I took his I like his documentaries and things because they're very thorough, they're well researched, much more so than a lot of you guys, you Israelites, you Muslims, you Christians, you Pan-Africanists, and you pro-blacks, where you have really no books to back you up. This guy has a ton of books. He's been doing this for years now, and he's a guilty pleasure of a lot of people who watch because his name is AHAU. I don't know how to pronounce his name yet. I admit that, but I'm going to definitely share the link in the description. And also the brother IMMORTAL, APPAREL. I wish that brother would do more documentaries because, like I said, admittedly, I'm not one that's going to do a whole lot of, book research, a whole lot of, historical research, and it's, because I'm busy. I'm running the community. I'm making sure I'm, doing what I have to do in the community. And as a community leader, I don't have time. I can have my people also do the research, but it's good to have brothers like that on deck who are doing the research, who are looking this stuff up, and who are, putting out their knowledge like that for debunk a lot of these clowns who sit up here and say, oh, where are you coming from with that? Like how this guy, Jason Black, he tried, I'm not trying to get into him, but a guy came on his show, like I said, and was talking about our Mesoamerican ancestry, and he tried to clown the guy, telling him, go read a book. In other words, go read a book written by a Caucasian talking about some slave trade nonsense. Right? And a lot of times, like I said, people tend to take books, as the end-all, be-all of truth. And I said people lie in books as well as tell the truth in books. You have to have a proper discernment of what is true and what is false. There are a lot of lies in books, just like there's a lot of truth in books. But what we go with is that which makes common sense, logical and rational sense. This is what we must go with in discerning what is true versus what is false. All right, so, you got a lot of people who want to, because I'm going to address various topics, because, like I said, I didn't want to just do once a week. I seen a lot of your responses, a lot of y'all, congratulating me for coming back, and you were asking on the MENTELLECT channel that I need to do more. Well, if y'all want to see more, you got to subscribe to High and Mighty Talks. It's good that, yes, you are subscribed to MENTELLECT channel, but I'm no longer going to be putting High and Mighty Talks, these new podcasts. I'm not going to be putting these episodes on MENTELLECT channel. I want them on High and Mighty Talks, and I want the views to be channeled to there. The MENTELLECT channel is simply for snippets of my radio broadcast, MENTELLECT Radio, which comes on tonight at 10 or 10:30, depending. It's going to come on 10 o'clock, 10:30 Eastern Standard, or American Republic Radio, which I do Saturdays at 10 or 10:30, depending on time constraints. So I would definitely like you all to subscribe to High and Mighty Talks, not MENTELLECT channel. I mean, that's cool. Subscribe to MENTELLECT channel as well. but also for the lives like this, subscribe to High and Mighty Talks, because we're out to push this as the only real source of logical and rational thinking, without all the gloss, without all the glitz, without all the glamour. Like you see me here, I'm sitting here in my basketball jersey and whatnot. I'm chilling out. I decided to sit around my house. This is the High and Mighty Talks. And of course, got the high. Wouldn't be complete without the high. And one of my wives possibly will get me a cup of tea during the course of this podcast. I'd like me a nice, big old cup of mullein tea is good, For you smokers out there, keep your lungs clean, your mullein tea, and a few other things I put in there. So the topic at hand, how would the world be? And like I said, well, let me make sure those you might want to call in. Let me get the number. Let me get the call-in number. Hold on a second. Call-in number is 929-430-5191. 929-430-5191. Please call in while I'm doing the cast. I get people trying to call in way after the cast is over. They try to call in and want to talk with me after the cast. That's why I have this set up, for you to call in and express your thoughts on what I'm sharing, so that you can call in while the live is going. I'm gonna be doing at least an hour, because like I said, I did miss the lives and whatnot where I can chop it up with the people and share knowledge and everything. But I'm addressing the whole mindset of how the world would be if it was run by quote unquote black people. The answer would be hell. It would be hell if, for some reason, rulership fell into the hands of black people in the state of mind they're in. This goes directly to how black people think from a two-dimensional mindset as possessions, because you got three different types of states of being or states of existence here in the three-dimensional realm. You got those you got places, you got possessions, and you got people, right? People, place, and possession. The 3 P's, as I call it. Places, which were here before we arrived. Possessions, which were elements stored in the earth, that were produced here for our use. And then the people came last. Now, we being the original people, the first people to set up civilization here on earth and in the Americas, being the first people of Mesoamerican ancestry who set up the first civilizations, the Olmec empires, the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan, going thousands and thousands of years back. Like I said, and all over the world, we being those first people, we have fell from that state of being as seeing ourselves in a three-dimensional state as a people, as a race, as a collective group of people. We fell from that space, right? We fell from that space of seeing ourselves as a collective people, and we've fallen down into a two-dimensional space of individuality. As we fell down into that two-dimensional space of individuality, and it sticks in the minds of so-called black people, this is why so-called black people are basically under the control of those who see themselves as people. You follow what I'm saying? The people, those who see themselves as people, Caucasians, Asians, East Indians, who see themselves as a collective people, will always control a mass group of individuals. This is why they're able to come into your places, your lands, your neighborhoods, wherever you are, and gentrify your neighborhood and just basically shove you to the side and just take over everything in your neighborhoods and your countries. They are able to shove you to the side because you are not regarded as a real people. You are not regarded as a real community. That's why I said that whole thing of a black community is a joke. There's no such thing as a black community. That's a illusion. There's no such thing as a black community. You see, that's the same thing when I said saying, what's the blank community? The blank. Black is blank. Blank is nothing. You have to fill in the blank. You see, you have to move away the black. What is that which was redacted? They trying to make a race out of a class identification. Black is a class identification, just like white is a class identification for the powers that be, for the government to know who resources are going to, who are going to be deprived of resources. See, because you can't tell who's black and who's white just based on that, because black, just as well as white people, have the same names. So how do you know who is black John Benson versus who's white John Benson? It's why you have to have, this government has to have black and white and all this in effect, because if it was just about American, what difference does it make what race you are if it's all about American, right? No, they ask you what your race is when you fill out things: white, Caucasian, African American, Native American, Asian American, so on and so forth. The thing with that is that all of those groups other than black get to claim themselves or classify themselves as white in society. And these are the people that get the resources. This is why a lot of people are up in arms about politics and the electing of these officials who do nothing for black people. Well, my thing is this: how can you do something for black people when black people don't even exist? When I say black people don't exist, I mean you don't exist you don't have any standing culture, any standing heritage, any standing anything to connect to. You see, the Asians have that. You see, the Caucasians have that. The East Indians, the Arabs, all these people have cultures to connect to. They have cultures to connect to, and that's what makes them a real people. You see, real people stick together collectively. That's a three-dimensional idea. Black people are two-dimensional. This is why they deal with duality. This is why they deal with individuality, right? Where they see themselves as a race of individuals as opposed to a collective group of people. In other words, black people would rather fail as individuals than succeed as a collective race. Now, you know, what makes people a collective? See, skin color don't make people a collective group. You have to have a certain, you have to have certain ways of thinking, or for lack of a better word, beliefs. Certain ways of thinking. I like to say, I don't deal with belief. Certain ways of thinking, certain names that connect you, certain language that connects you, kinship, country, things that really connect you as a people, things that connect you as a heritage. Black people don't have that. So then is there any wonder that people don't regard you, or you're not seen or regarded as a real people? And the real people who have, collective cooperation with each other, who are really seen as a race of people, is it any wonder that they disregard you as such when they come and just push you to the side and just gentrify your neighborhoods, colonize your countries, and push you to the side and take your resources and make y'all a bunch of second to no class citizens in your own country, in your own neighborhood? That is able to happen because you don't stand together as a people. You have no heritage. You see, black is not a heritage. African American is not a heritage. These are just titles and labels that were given to you by Caucasians that y'all follow, like slaves, like possessions. And again, that proves that black people are seen as possessions, because how is it that these people feel comfortable enough to hand you a identity? Who does that? Who hands people the identity? You're black. That comes from white people or Caucasians. You're African American, again from Caucasians. I don't care if Jesse Jackson said it in 1984. He was prompted to say that by his Caucasian handlers. You see, that's not something he thought of. A lot of the stuff that come out of these boule Negroes' mouths are things that are handed to them, ideologies and philosophies that are handed to them to pass by their Caucasian masters, to pass on to, the black masses, the quote unquote mentally dead black masses, to soak up and to accept. But it's really just putting you in a constant state of submission under these people. And so, because you're seen as a people under submission, a people who have no real who don't know what their real roots are, what their real heritage is, what their real names are. Because you're seen that way, nobody regards you as a real people. Nobody regards you as a serious people. So if you put these people in charge right now, if you put black people in charge of the state of mind they were in, they'd be begging to give it back to Caucasians, begging to give back the reins of power to Caucasians, because they wouldn't know what to do. You can't put slaves in power, or people that think like slaves. You can't put them in power. You see, you have to put people who think as a people, a collective people, who are going to cooperate and work together. You put those people in power, or those people are going to become powerful. And this is why a lot of these boule Negro coons who are out here who are posing as Pan-Africanists, who are posing as Muslims and Israelites and Christians, a lot of these ops out here, black conscious, a lot of these ops out here who are serving these Caucasians, who are keeping our people, these high-level Caucasians that are keeping our people in a state of euphoria, in a state of darkness, in a state of blackness, are pushing that heavy. This is why you're seeing the push of the woman king. You're seeing the push of the Black Panther with women. Again, the direction now is the focus on the so-called black woman and separating her from the so-called black man. So when people are able to be controlled by like this, mentally controlled by this, they don't need to put any chains around your neck anymore to control you. The chains are on the minds of the people. This is how they're able to get you to sabotage yourself. Just by people, you know, not being able to see who and what they are and what their purpose is. This is why they fall to the wayside. Okay, just looking, let's see if we got any questions or comments. So if we have any questions or comments, like I said, subscribe to High and Mighty Talks with New Dimencaries. But yeah, the world would be in chaos if black people were in charge right now. It would be in chaos. Y'all can't even get it together when it comes to voting and things of that nature. You can't get it together when it comes to any of that. So, you know, or to even vote. I don't hear people talking about, you know, white this and white that, and white supremacy and all this other stuff. So I'm like, okay, but why are you voting within the system of white supremacy? Voting is not going to help people. Voting is not going to restore so-called black people, because you have to know where you came from in order to know where you're going. You can't restore people who don't know where they come from, what path they're supposed to be on, who they really are. So when myself, I come and I, you know, introduce ethnic American to our people, introduce who we are as a race of people who are the first inhabitants of America, the first civilization builders in America. A lot of people will sit up here and I don't know, bro, or oh, you know, you talking that plebiscite talk. Like a lot of people play games and what, like trying to clown each other. And like I said, black males who do that, that is a real, that says something about the maturity level of people. Because if you feel someone is wrong in what they're saying, you set the record straight. You don't try to clown people. Like I said, that is a reality that our people are not willing to embrace as ethnic American, as the real Americans here. Because, again, a lot of our people, a lot of black people, I'm not even going to say our people, black people got a slave mentality. Because, again, if you accept that you're black, then you have a slave mentality. If you accept that you're African American, you have a slave mentality. If you connect yourself to any of these things, you have a slave mentality. If you see certain people out here today in 2022 still trying to push the black thing, still trying to convince us that our skin is black, still playing the black game, playing the black program game, because a lot of these Negroes done picked it up from the white man. They still doing the programming, but they using Negroes to program these black Negroes to program the minds of our people to keep pushing this whole black program onto our people, to push this whole submental way of thinking onto our people, because black is always going to be under white. You see, I don't care what you say, black will always be under white. So if that doesn't bother you, if certain people are still talking about voting, yet you claim there's a system of white supremacy, like I said, how can you vote within a system of white supremacy and think that you're going to succeed within the system, but yet you say the system is set against you? So what does voting do? It does nothing. What do black politicians do? Y'all admitted they do nothing. So y'all can't even see power because you don't know what it takes to achieve true power, true control, control has to first start with yourselves as a people. It has to come about as a cooperative, a cooperative agreement with your people in order for you to be able to go forward as a people, in order for you to be able to achieve as a people. That has to be a cooperative agreement that should only be, talked about and discussed and agreed upon by intelligent, mature people. A lot of our people, like I said, are a bunch of overgrown, a lot of black people are a bunch of overgrown children. They got the mentality of overgrown children, you see. And these are not the people y'all need to be listening to. You don't need to be listening to a bunch of overgrown children just because they got a bunch of numbers on YouTube, you see, with a bunch of illogical things that are coming out their mouth that they're trying to push as illogical. Anybody's pushing black to our people, they pushing illogical thinking to our people. Anybody's telling our people that we black, they pushing illogical thinking. I don't care how they try to make it slick, black furs, foundational, whatever. No shots at nobody, but that's illogical. That's illogical. I'm not trying to take shots at nobody, but let the shoe, whoever how the shoe fits, let them wear it. It is what it is. This is about the evolution of our people. This is about the evolution of the ethnic American, which we are. Like I said, it's why I'm repping American, which comes from, by the way, from our people. The word America comes from our Mayan people. Okay? So, as I said, the world would be in chaos. The world would be in chaos if black people were in charge, because, again, slave minds cannot run a society. People who are, because slave-minded people will always be looking to submit to someone. They will always be looking to pass the buck or look for somebody else to be responsible if things don't work out and things go wrong. They're always looking for people to take responsibility. We have to be the ultimate ones to take responsibility. I remember this article from 1971. It was recorded. I was like 1 year old in 1971. But I remember this article in 1971 in Playboy. It was spoken of, where John Wayne was talking about, because it was a lot of heavy talk about our people in that time in the early 1970s, because we would come into our own, wearing our hair natural. A lot of our people started waking up, to who they are. They were trying to wake up to who they are. You had a lot of black ops, a lot of black ops that were working against who we were, working against what our true identity was, pushing the whole black thing, pushing the whole Pan-African thing, pushing all that out to our people. So I'll never forget, it was John Wayne who talked about, John Wayne said, I believe in white supremacy until the blacks are responsible enough to be in charge and in power. So I found that funny that he would say that, John Wayne, Mr. Cowboy, Mr. so-called, quote-unquote, American icon, he's not American, he's European. But I found Irish European. But I found that interesting that would even be a topic of discussion for a person like a John Wayne, about our ascent to power. And why I found it interesting is because a lot of white people think that way. A lot of people who have access to influence and power, people of different races, they see our people totally different than how we see ourselves. In the scheme of things, in that vacuum of power, they see our people a lot different, because they know deep down inside that our people are the real Americans. We are the real ethnic Americans here. We are the real indigenous Americans of this land. Not nobody else. Everybody else came from someplace else. Again, the African thing can be totally debunked. And again, why was it so easy? And I'm going to put up a picture in the next High and Mighty Talks of me next to my Mesoamerican Mayan ancestor who was a warrior and things like that. Well, this person looks exactly like me. I'm going to put up images like that brother Kamaru. I'm forgetting the brother's name. I hate to butcher his name, but he does such great work. I'm going to put his link in. I definitely acknowledge, sharing info about things like this, because, when you get people who will say, oh, you babbling, brother, where you getting this from? I point to that brother as a source. And I point to the fact that he shared a lot of his info, just like the brother IMMORTAL. Again, brother, please make some more videos. Do the history stuff. I'm going to, put up a channel showing just your stuff. I don't want the monetization for it. I don't need the money. I just want to really put that out there. I want to change the conversation. I want to push out the whole African thing, push out the whole black thing, push that out. I want to put an end to that. I want to put a nail in the coffin of blackness. I want to put a nail in the coffin of African Americanism. I want to put a nail in the coffin of all of that, because that's not who we are. We're being misrepresented when our true description of who we are is right in the 1828 Merriam-Webster dictionary about who the real Americans are, who the real native or the real indigenous Americans are. I don't like to use the term native because the Mongoloid Indians, they don't attach themselves to that. So we use ethnic American. We use ethnic American. And again, we need that evolution. We need that relaunch. And we need to know why it is that, you know, why we don't think of ourselves, because we should think of ourselves in the future as a factor in the power seat of America, because we're the only real Americans here. So it makes sense for us to think futuristically about being a viable source of power, a viable source of rulership, being that we are the natives of this land. We are the Americans, the only real Americans. Like I said, no one else can call themselves Americans but us. No one else can call themselves Americans. I'm talking about our people who have been here, who've been here, whose family been here since slavery, right? Who's, you know, our people from the West Indies, which is an American territory. Which I want to say again, if you West Indian, then you American. All that's in American territory. I don't care if the British got control of Jamaica. I don't give a damn about that. If you are in American territory, whether it's Puerto Rico, shout out to the original bronze Puerto Ricans. Shout out to the original bronze Mexicans. Shout out to the original bronze copper-colored Puerto Ricans, the original bronze copper-colored Mexicans, those who may still be there amongst our people. Shout out to them. Again, in the islands and things like that, you are American. You are Caribbean Americans, but you're American. Stop with the West Indian stuff. Again, even that Indian identification is false. You know, Indians are from India. You know, in order for it, things are never going to be right in this land for quote unquote so-called black people, because that's not who we naturally are. Whenever you try to be something you're not, whenever you try to subscribe to a whole level of thinking that is not really who you are as a people, whenever you try, it never works out for you. This is why black, so-called quote unquote black people get trampled over in this society by the police, by the government. Yes, and there is, like I was going to do it, but I might as well go ahead and say it. You know, there is a societal attack on quote unquote black people. Yes, there is. There is a societal attack on so-called black people. Why? Because again, there's no such thing as black people, and anything that is promoted as real, which is not real, eventually will be pushed to the side. You see, you got a whole bunch of people who are calling themselves black, and that's basically like saying you have no identity. So if you have no identity, if you have no point of, you know, being here, if you have no point, here is you sitting in your land, here it is you're sitting in your country, and you got your own so-called black people telling you this ain't your country, your country is Africa, your continent is Africa. No, our continent is America, not just North America, South America, Central America, because again, we tend to think of America as 50 states. No, America is a continent. South America, Central America, North America, this is our continent. The first inhabitants of this continent were our people. South American, North American, Central American, we are the ethnic Americans of this continent, and it's time that we start standing up as that. And again, it don't have nothing to do with the immigrant Americans, but we need to constantly make that, you know, make that differentiation. So, yeah, there is a societal attack, but rightfully so. Because when you got a bunch of people who don't know who they are, they just taking up space after a while. You have no problem with pushing them to the side. That's why you're disregarded. Again, you don't see that happening like right here in Brooklyn. You don't see Italians being pushed to the side in their neighborhoods. They still got their neighborhoods thoroughly on lockdown. Bensonhurst, well said, being Bensonhurst, Bay Ridge, Borough Park, you know, they still got their neighborhoods thoroughly on lockdown, and they don't want you coming in their neighborhoods. When you show up in their neighborhoods, it's nigga, get out my neighborhood. You see, the Irish, they in Hell's Kitchen in a lot of areas in New York where they don't want you coming in. The Asians, they got Chinatown. Italians got Little Italy. You see, so these people got their own places. The Jews, I think they got in Chicago called Jewtown or whatever. They got, or little, they get their little places, Little Israel, which is what they used to call Brownsville at one time. But we the only ones that get into these ethnic enclaves, and we don't claim anything. We, oh, it's a black neighborhood. What does that mean? It means nothing, because the people don't share the same ways of thinking. They don't share the same, mindset when it comes to the creator, their purpose here, who they are. They don't identify as nothing. This is why you let people come into your neighborhoods and they bring their culture in, and you allow them to be amongst you, make money amongst you, and also exploit you as a people. Because black people have no identity. They have no clue on who they are. So again, when you put people like that, if you even think about putting people like that in a state of power, you might as well just prepare for chaos. You got even black people, if you ask them, or, you know, A. Scott D.L. Hughley said, but see, with people like this is why black people are the way they are. They asked D.L. Hughley, he said, and I quote, he said, if you can have, somebody asked him if you can have all the power in the world, you know, I think it's a superhero, he said, I wouldn't want that, I'd rather be white. I think he said something along those lines, if I'm not mistaken. You see, he said stuff like that. So what does that tell you when you got people like this talking to you, when you got people like this? Because anybody who embraces blackness, you're going to embrace whiteness. If you embrace blackness, you're going to embrace whiteness. You can't get away from it. You're going to embrace that. So when you are embracing blackness, you're basically embracing your space at the bottom of whiteness, or whoever's being labeled as white. You're embracing that, and you don't see it. You see, that's why I said we got to cut the black loose. We got to cut the African American loose, because these are slave titles, and let it be us, or someone who looks like us, like myself. Let us be the ones to redefine who we are in all reality. Let someone who looks like us define us. We don't need no quote unquote Negroes or black people coming behind the white man, reinforcing his slave identification. Like, in other words, it don't mean nothing for somebody coming with a black power fist and talking black power, black this, red, black, and green, which is a bunch of BS. It don't mean nothing for you to come around and basically speak with authority and regurgitate the false identity and the false philosophies of the white man that he put on our people. In other words, just because you saying in the second part what the white man said first, and you're trying to basically reinforce it, and you know, like he uses black faces to reinforce his Caucasian philosophies, we're not buying it. I'm not buying it, and neither should the intelligent ones of my people, the ones who are truly logical and rational and forward-thinking people. We shouldn't be buying this. We shouldn't be buying into blackness. We should have been on left blackness and African Americanism and all that behind where it belonged. And I would love to, you know, be the one who pushes that to the forefront, and that's why I'm doing this. Because I'd like to thank you, those of you who responded very well to High and Mighty Talks, how you said, oh, you know, brother, thank you for coming back out and doing this, even though you didn't have to. No, I didn't have to. I didn't have to come out and do High and Mighty Talks. I didn't have to come out here. I had my following already. I had the people that's with me, the people that's in the community, my community, and whatnot, our community. I had the people that's with me. I had my MENTELLECT radio. I could have just kept doing MENTELLECT radio and running the American Republic and the Order of MENTELLECT. I could have been doing all of these things, and I'll still continue to do these things. But I said it was important that, you know, for the sake of this younger generation, that they actually know what their heritage is and who they are as a people. It's important that they know that. And that's why I came and did that. Okay? That's why I did that. All right? I'm looking at the chat. All right. Gaming, is the world, not chaos. Is it? Alright. Well, if you have any questions, you can call in. I gave the number. And also, like I said, subscribe to High and Mighty Talks. And also, go to MENTELLECT Patreon. Go to MENTELLECT Patreon. I'm going to put links in for the basketball jerseys, football jerseys, T-shirts from our Underlord company. And a lot of other things coming, cool things. Links for Unlimited Epics, which is my epic book company. So a lot of cool things is coming about. Put it there. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. My tea. So a lot of cool things are coming about. Okay. That's hot. Yeah. Also, why people want to, deny our American roots is because, again, that's part of the slave mentality. Why people want to deny our American roots, and I done broke it down. I done broke down what our true American roots are, our Mesoamerican ancestry, how we came in from the South and Central America, and that can be proven. But yet you still got this these black contingent and these people that's pushing still pushing Pan-Africanism and the whole, transatlantic slave trade. You still got people doing that. You see? Why are they doing that? Because, like I said, that's the slave mentality. If you're still pushing black today, you're nothing but a modern day slave. I don't care how you pushing it. I don't care who's pushing it. If you're still pushing us as black people, that's slave talk. That's modern day slave talk. It's time to come out of the shadows of blackness. It's time to come out of the shades of black and then come into the reality of who we are. It's the dawn of the next age. And in this dawn of the next age, it's time for us to evolve into ethnic Americans. What we really are. This is not something I'm trying to sell to my people. I'm just basically giving my people the reality based on our true American roots. We don't have no African roots. We don't have no connection to Africa. So the people who are pushing that lie, who keep pushing that lie, I say to you, you need to go back to Africa. You need to, you guys who believe this stuff, who believe that this nonsense about some transatlantic slave trip, and all this. If you talk about different slave ships going on our people, you talking about ships going up and down the rivers in America, transporting us state to state, interstate transport. We was the first interstate transport, and the ones who were kidnapped from different parts of America and sold into slavery. Like I said, that was even able to happen because our people forgot that we were first and foremost a people, and it is about the unification of our people more than anything. It's about that. Let me look and see what else I want to touch on. But like I said, I'm just in a relaxed mode before I do my usual cast. I'm gonna probably go to 9. I want to touch on a lot of different things, and I want this to really be interactive. I really want people to, like I said, go to High and Mighty Talks. Thank you for your support. Thanks for the support on MENTELLECT channel. All right. Let me see. Thanks for that. But like I said, due to all the strikes I got, all the strikes I got for the material that they deem to be, that YouTube deems to be hate speech, which is nothing really but truth speech. It's reality speech. Maybe I have to change my words around, but even with changing my words around, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get still a little bit of drama when it comes to that, because these people censor reality speech, not hate speech, because you can go on YouTube right now and you can hear some of the most hateful, degenerate videos up there, but because it's not catering, because it's catering to the submental mindset of people, of course they can stay up there. They don't get strikes. But when you're trying to really, bring intelligence to the people, and trying to intel the people about, you know, who they are, when you're trying to raise the level of thinking of the people, you get a lot of backlash. You get a lot of backlash from a bunch of coons and sambos, a bunch of boule coons and sambos who want to still be black, who want to embrace blackness. See, because, you know, Caucasians have basically said that they're willing to halfway deal with or acknowledge you as a black people. So y'all more or less worried about not getting acknowledged as a people, or not even thought of. But like I said, I got news for you. So-called black people are not seen as a people. You're seen as possessions. You're not seen as people. Ever since slavery, they still see you the same. You're still seen as possessions in this country. And what do you do with possessions? Whatever you want to do with possessions. That's why black people get treated any kind of way. Because the people who are in power, the people who stand together collectively, because the true people who are in power are those who stand together collectively. The people who stand together collectively do whatever they want with the people who are considered, or those who are considered possessions or individuals. They do whatever they want. If they want to move y'all out of a neighborhood, they want to gentrify you out of a neighborhood, if they want to come in and push other people into your neighborhood, push businesses into your neighborhood that you go and patronize, so be it. Because again, slaves have no rights. You possessions. Whatever they want to move you around, make you do this, make you do that. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's what they do. All right. Is everybody getting this live? All right. I said on this, people would rather, you see, in this realm, people would rather educate you than intel you. I know people say, you know, well, brother, you talking intel. Yeah. Basically offer you intelligent thoughts, intelligent, logical ways of thinking to give you something to grow with mentally so that you can develop and build your level of thinking up, versus being given education, or education where people are controlling how far you think. See, education controls how far you think. Intelligence gives you no limit to your thoughts. That's the difference between the two. Because if I share intelligence with you, you can take that and you can grow your mind with that, and you can think beyond the things you were given. Whereas an education basically limits you to a certain level of thinking, because it will always be the end all be all of whatever Caucasian people, whoever, those who control the educational system, whatever they say, that pretty much will be what you go with. That'll be pretty much what you accept as reality. Right? So part of, you know, developing that ruling class mindset, that ruling class mentality, is to break away from these submental chains of blackness, these submental chains of religion, the submental chains of African Americanism, whatever the hell that is. You know, what Caucasian came up with that and passed it down to people like Jesse Jackson. You know, you need to break those chains. Those are nothing but mental chains on our people. And this is why we were not able to grow as a people. I'll keep wondering why black people get done dirty in this society, because you're not considered a people. Hello? You're not considered a people. And you know what? Y'all don't think of yourselves as a people. You think of yourselves as possessions. That's why, you know, whenever it come time for you to come together, the brothers to man up, or the women to come together and woman up and do what you're supposed to do as a people to save your own communities, what is the first thing y'all doing? You looking to the white man to help you. You looking to the government to help you. You looking for anything for other people to help you, instead of just helping yourselves collectively coming together, pooling your resources and fixing your own situation. Because there is no true power like people power. People power is the ultimate power, especially when you have people who are ready, willing, and able to cooperate and work together, and not try to usurp each other, not try to disrespect each other, not trying to sabotage each other, not trying to one-up each other. And that's been the mentality of so-called black people. Remember I said in the last video, that crab in the barrel mentality, which again is based in what? Jealousy. So, let me see. We'll touch on a few things. Okay. Let's look into a few other things. I lightly touched on that. But, yeah. But call in. Questions come. Like I said, I'm going to end. I want to take it another 30 minutes or so. I do want to take another 30 minutes. I want them to be, I want these high and mighty talks to be more interactive. And like I said, I'm a patient man. I'm a patient man. I've been building up this community, building up my people because, I simply, if I can't be about nothing else, I got to be about my people. A lot of people, unfortunately, are not about their people. They're about themselves. A lot of people who come out here, a lot of, those people that come out here and they claim that they for the people, but they really for themselves. They will play along to get along. A lot of these guys that's up here, keep an eye out for a lot of these guys that's getting in the pink of things, if you know what I mean. These guys who are all dressed up in the pink. That's a new symbol amongst these black males out here. A lot of them are dressed in pink. A lot of these pink fellas out here. Be mindful when you see these people with all these pink outfits on and stuff like that, because these are specialty outfits that you see in people wearing this pink and stuff. Real men don't wear pink. Real men don't wear pink. A lot of males are wearing pink now. A lot of black males, which speaks to the difference of men and males. Another thing that I made the differentiation between those who are men versus those who are males. Males are anatomically correct. Men are mentally correct. I had to set the record straight on it because I'm the first one to point out the difference between men and males and women and females. I was the first one to do that. Men and women are mentally correct. Males and females are anatomically correct. That's why you can have a male cat, a male dog, a male bird, a male animal, and you can have male and female people. But there's a reason why you don't refer to animals as men and women, because men and women is a higher level and a higher state of being than male and female. A lot of people out here are unfortunately males and females. They're not men and women, because again, to truly be considered men and women, your mind has to be in a certain level of thinking, on a certain level of thinking, on a higher level of thinking, which again goes into the whole mindset of having that three-dimensional mindset and having an ultra standing, which is another word I originated, ultra standing. You see, down with Elijah Muhammad said understanding. Dr. York said overstanding. When you hear people say overstanding, that's from Dr. York. Anybody out here that's using the word overstanding comes from Dr. York. He originated the word overstanding. Nuben Menkaure is when you start to hear people, basically, when you're going to hear people start to use the word ultra standing, that's from me. So I'm taking hold of my stuff, because again, when people don't see me on these social media platforms, and they barely see me because I'm so busy being a father, being a husband, being a leader, a guide, a director to my people. I'm gonna say a director, right? When I'm busy doing that, you got these people that set up here and set up YouTube channels, and they don't think I'm gonna see them stealing from me. They don't think I'm gonna come up and mention it, which a lot of people have. So I had to set the record straight. When you hear, like I said, a lot of people listen to MENTELLECT Radio. I've been doing it since 2012. Okay, been doing it since 2012, and even a little further back when it was Ustream. So y'all get to see my face. You get to see who I am. Whereas a lot of people don't show themselves at all, yet they want to sit up here and talk a lot of shit. Excuse my language, but they don't show themselves. There are certain people, they talk black and they talk and they don't show themselves at all. That should make you scratch your head and wonder about these people, because I don't mind showing myself. I don't mind being seen by people, because I acknowledge myself as a real one. You know what I'm saying? I don't hide. You know what I'm saying? I don't have any I don't put on for the public. I don't put on for the people. I'm a real one. And again, I don't have to say it. Y'all should be able to see it. I even hate to say it, but I'm real in that I don't mind being who I am. I don't have a character that I'm playing. You see, people have characters they playing, and because we are developing and we are growing mentally every day. We're growing stronger every day. You can look at, as you evolving in your level of thinking, you can see who the fake people are, and you can see who the real people are. You see, you can see who the fake people are, and you know who the real people are. And like I said, people might say, "Oh, well, brother, why you sitting with dark shades on in your house?" And why you sitting there? Because I like dark shades. I like them. I do. You see, I like my shades as a part of my persona. I wear these. I wear these in the street. I wear dark glasses or tinted frames. Because it's part of my persona. I like it. It's not a character. It's just my personality. You see, it's the difference between persona, personality, who you are, and a character, which is someone you're trying to play. As you can see, I don't do characters. I don't do character impressions. I'm not trying to be like nobody else. I don't want to be like nobody else. I don't want to, I'm comfortable in my own skin. And everybody should be. And part of being comfortable in your own skin is knowing who you are as a people. Knowing who you are as a people is part of being comfortable in your own skin. Knowing and accepting who you are as a people is a part of that. I've accepted myself as ethnic American, and I got a lot of people who are starting to wake up and accept themselves ethnic American. We need to make that push. The intelligent ones of our people, the most upright ones of our people, need to make that push from that slave mentality and that slave identity as black people. Make that push away from that slave mentality as black people, something that was pushed on our people. When before that we were referred to as copper-colored people, sepia tone, bronze. We were referred to, and this is what we called ourselves. And this is what people called us upon seeing us. So this was an agreement. We never agreed to black. We never agreed to black. In fact, at one point in the 30s and the 40s, we fought the whole Negro and black thing. We didn't want to be referred to as black. A lot of old people that's still around, like who probably done passed on, they didn't like being called black. They didn't like being called Negro. You see, they didn't like that because they knew it was meant to be an insult. So, the powers that be, over time, they get a new generation of niggas that come and they just use them, give them enough money and whatnot to push it across. And next thing you know, it's black power. It's black pride. It's black consciousness. That's what comes when the older generations are no longer heard or seen and they pass on. They come with a new generation of people who they can just basically fool, who they can basically take hold of and utilize, and that's what happens. Okay? They sabotage and hijack us as a people mentally, and that's what's also happening with this generation here, where I'm seeing you got these old school MCs and rappers. And just want to talk about this for a second, which you could tell these guys, a lot of these guys got a slave mentality. They come out here and they pushing, the whole thing about the Fat Joe thing. I hate to beat that dead horse, but because that's pretty much one and done. They beating that dead horse about Latinos being responsible for 50% of hip hop, which is a damn lie. Which was a damn lie. It was bronze people, copper-colored people who created hip hop, jazz, R&B, soul. You see, it was ethnic Americans, copper-colored people, bronze people, falsely being called black. Because again, black was a way to basically erase us. And y'all don't even know it. By calling you black, that was the way to erase us as a people. That music came from our people. All those musical influences come from our people. But you get a new generation of people who don't know no better, because a lot of the elders, I should say, a lot of the elders are not around to make that plain and clear, set the record straight. It's also another thing. I'm the one that pointed out the difference between older and elders. I pointed that out first. I made the assertion of you got two different types of people in the world. Those who are elders, amongst the mature. You got those who become elders, and then you got those who become olders. Right? Those who become elders and those who become elders. The elders are the people who, through time, develop a certain level of understanding meaning complete comprehension. Because that's what people ask me, what is ultra standing? Complete comprehension. When you have certain people who, through their time here on earth, develop complete comprehension of who they are as a people, when you got people who develop a ultra standing, a complete comprehension of us as a people, and everything, and master that way of thinking, they become elders over time, because they can then go to the youth and teach the youth about who they are as a people. And then you got the olders, which represent the old fools, who was fools when they were young, and they never evolved from being young fools. They just old fools now. We see these are the oldest. These are the guys who sit around and lie to the people and babble and talk all that. That's a lot of your boule coons today. A lot of those are olders. Those are not elders. So I'm the first one that pointed it out, and Tariq Nasheed copied it and said copied that for me and said that. I had to shout that out because, again, no disrespect to him, I ain't got no problem with it, but like I said, you need to know where these original ways of thinking come from, because I am an original thinker. I am an original thinker. I do bear witness that there is nothing new under the sun, but there is something next coming from beyond the sun. And that's what I've always labeled my teachings of MENTELLECT, which I offer to my people, the intelligent ones of my people. I submit MENTELLECT is that next level of thinking beyond the sun that's streaming into this atmosphere, because next level things will come and have come into this atmosphere that were not part of the past landscape. You see, this is how evolution takes place. You have to have things introduced into the scope of things. You have to have certain thoughts, ideas, and things, and technologies, through these thoughts and ideas, introduced into the atmosphere. And what that does is expands the atmosphere. It extends the level of thinking of the people. I did a cast where I said, if you notice that color from the past 30 years ago, colors have been upgraded. The atmosphere has been upgraded through living color. In other words, when different or higher technology came in with the introduction of higher technology and things like so-called higher technology, advanced technology, with that, which this society is not really producing anymore, but it will start being re-released into the three-dimensional realm. But when that comes from a high dimension, from the fourth dimension, a high definitive or high definition or high dimension, when it starts to be introduced into the world, it changes the whole scope of things. It adds more color. So I did it on my MENTELLECT broadcast, and I broke that down. I did it amongst my people. Again, a lot of stuff I don't share with the public like that, because, the public is not ready for a lot of stuff I say. It's logical as hell. I don't say crazy stuff. I say things that logically and rationally make sense. I walk people through. I never want people, like I said, I never want people to believe me. I want people to think about what I say, because it has to come a point in time where we, thinking is a thing of mastery. Being able to think is a process of mastery. Why? Because thinking is not something that is done, in abundance anymore. Thinking is very much not in fashion. Belief is more in fashion than thought. Belief. Okay? Belief is more in alignment than thinking. And if we are going to be an advanced and evolving people, we have to think more. We have to process things. We have to, scrutinize. Not criticize, but scrutinize. Black people like to criticize. That's what niggas like to do. Niggas love to criticize. They don't like to scrutinize or think about something, because the reason why they like to do that, the reason why they like to criticize more than scrutinize, is because criticism is what people do when they're not able to think. You know, in other words, I'd rather clown you than make a clown out of myself by trying to process what you say, because I can't really get on the level of what you're saying. So I would rather criticize it. Number one, because Caucasians didn't say it first. And number two, because I don't have the level of or the scope of intellect to process what you're saying to me. So rather than say, well, let's build on that, let's have more of a conversation on that, let's see if we can get on the same page, you get people that criticize you, like a lot of you black conscious coons. A lot of you guys up here, you hear something, and if it don't readily come from Caucasians, y'all quick to say, oh, you pseudo, brother, you pseudo, where you get your scholarship from, brother? Let me tell you niggas something. Let me tell you something. You ain't no, all that scholarship stuff you guys talk about, you Pan-Africanists and pro-blacks, all that scholarship stuff you talk about is a scholar. Just going because you went and read some books from some Caucasians don't make you a scholar. Okay? You guys call each other scholars because you read some books from Caucasians and you repeat what they say. So that makes you intelligent. That makes you scholarly. That does not make you scholar. It doesn't take a genius to go and read something and repeat what you read in a book. That doesn't take an intelligent person. A parrot can repeat stuff. You see, that doesn't take a real level of intelligence. What gives you that level of intelligence is that you're able to process things. You're able to process. You're able to scrutinize. You're able to discern what is real based in logical thinking, rational thinking, and what is false. You're able to do that. That's what the difference is. You guys are not able to do that, so what you do is you hide behind criticism. You try to clown another person, especially when it look like you, if it's not somebody white that's saying it. Because you only consider somebody a scholar if they done sit up here and read a bunch of stuff the Caucasian said, or some educated Negro that got trained by some Caucasian to give the same answer. That's the only reason, that's the only time y'all sit up here talking, oh, y'all need to read a book. I done wrote books. I wrote books. Okay? I don't need to read no more books. I don't read books. You see, I write books. And I even stopped doing that. I do a lot of audio stuff now because the age of book writing is over with. Because people can say anything in a book and lie to you in a book. And what is your recourse to check whether these people are, what they saying is right and exact? Where's your recourse at? At least with me, you can call in and talk to me and ask me the question. You can call in and debate, even though I don't really get into debates, only because I don't really see where it solves anything, because the person who is bent on believing in something, they're going to believe in it no matter what you tell them. That's why I really don't debate with people, but I don't mind an active exchange, engaging exchange of thoughts and, and sharing of logical and rational things. I don't mind that at all. I open myself up to that. Are those scientists, well, you done spent $200 on a book, $300 on a book, like a lot of you niggas love to brag in the conscious community. You talk about black power, black empowerment, but then you talk about, oh, I spent $200 and $300 on a book about science and this, that, and third, and I'm going to read that book, and after I read that book, I'm going to be a scholar, brother. No, you're not going to be a scholar. You're just going to be a nigga that spent $300 on the book, and you don't even know whether what they saying in the book makes sense or not, because you just chose to believe that. You chose to believe what somebody told you. And don't be put off by the fact that I use the word nigga. So I like to use the word, because a lot of y'all act like niggas. A lot of you do. So don't be put off by that. Just saying. So real scholarship, real intellectual scholarship, as I call it, comes from your ability to take thoughts that you receive, ideas that you receive, intel that you pick up, and things, and even information, and you process it through that brain of yours. You process it through the brain, through those neurotransmitters, and you allow it to permeate in your brain, and you start to question what makes sense and what don't. That's why I said the whole slave ship thing and that whole transatlantic slave ship nonsense don't even make no sense. That's how you know it's a lie. That's how you know it's a lie. The whole transatlantic slave ship thing don't make no sense. They can give all kinds of numbers. They can say 300 million black people was brought over here during slavery. A white man can come and say that tomorrow. And you know what y'all going to do? The Caucasian can say, yeah, it was 300 million black people that were brought from Africa and another 200 million that were brought from Mars. You know what y'all going to say? Yo, you heard what the scientists are saying? They said black people came from Mars and they took black people from Mars and put them in slavery. You'll say that because y'all just going to repeat whatever Caucasians say. Y'all are mentally dead. You are mentally dead, and these Caucasians know you're mentally dead. That's why they know they can just tell you anything. Like you came over, 100 million now came over on slave ships from Africa. Yeah, right. Well, you didn't know how to speak English, but all of a sudden, mystically and magically, you know how to speak English, and you know how to pick cotton, and you know how to do it. And you can mystically and magically, you can do all of these things. Like build houses, farm land, and do all this other stuff, because I guess the Caucasians had this system of schooling you, right, on how to do these things. They knew how to do all this stuff, and they taught you, yeah, right. Show me these training places where you learned how to do all that, where you knew how to farm land, because I told you what made the slaves valuable was that they were skilled labor. How your Africans get to be skilled labor? They weren't skilled labor. You see, but neither were your so-called Mongoloid Indians. They not no skilled labor. Again, and I'm going to just say this about the reparations thing. My stance on it, because we just talking, we chopping it up. My stance on the reparation thing is, yes, copper-colored people, the bronze skin, the bronze men and bronze women, they do deserve reparations, cash payments, land, and things like that. Yes, they do deserve reparations. Why? Because our slave labor built America. There was no United States. I agree with Tariq Nasheed on that. Yes, there was no United States government. There was no resources of being traded and stuff until our people started, building America through slave labor, building up the economy in the South, which was transferred into the North and created industry. So there was no American economy. There was no United States economy until copper-colored people, bronze copper-colored people, the natives of this land, the indigenous people who are the Mesoamerican descent, who are descendants of Mesoamerican. I'm not rocking with no black Indian nonsense. Ain't no black Indians here. The Mesoamericans. Look up Mesoamericans, which is comprised of your Olmecs, your Aztec, your Inca, your Mayan, who they're falsely saying are Mexican, and they are not Mexicans, which you see today with the straight hair. These are bronze, copper-colored people. These are our people. The first inhabitants of Mexico, the first inhabitants of South America, Yucatan, and all those places. You can find this out. So when you get idiots sitting up here who want to still push this black nonsense, like I said, them niggas have an agenda, man. I'm going to just tell you like that. All these people that's pushing blackness, calling themselves black, you see, they got an agenda. They got an agenda to keep our people ignorant. They got an agenda to keep our people in that state of submission under Caucasian people, under quote-unquote so-called white people. They have an agenda. I told you they got a lot of boule coons out here who are getting their own private bag of money, their own bag, as you say, to keep our people ignorant, keep our people in a state of nonsense. Somebody say trying to call in, is it working? You see? You try to call in 929-430-5191. 929-430-5191. Somebody say trying to call in. I don't know. It's huh? It's open. Yeah. See? That it? Next call on time. Yeah, but I didn't hear anything. Let me see. Call back. Try and call back. I think we got it up. Like I said, we're going to work out the technical things and whatnot. We're going to work it out. Try and call back 929-430-5191. Give us a call back. So, let me see. I see like a few calls came in. But I'm not hearing nothing. Your browser might prevent calls from ringing. Change your browser settings to allow Google Calm to, play sound. Yeah. And my wife gotta fix this. Yeah, but we'll get it fixed in a second. Like I said, we're gonna work out all the bugs. Don't worry about it. We moving along as we are, and like I said, I'm gonna put more content. More content is gonna come on there because, like I said, it's the time for more content. Again, I'm gonna, same way I do MENTELLECT Radio every night, same way I do American Republic Radio on Sundays, same way I do same way I want to do High and Mighty Talks. I'm not promising that I'm going to be doing it every day, but at least I want to get in at least 2 or 3 days, or, I want to make my presence known back in the land of YouTube again. With logical and rational thinking, I'm making that push forward into, YouTube with logical and rational thinking. Again, we ain't doing hate speech over here because it's not about hate. I don't hate nobody. We're not doing hate speech. We're doing reality speech. We do real talk here. I told you I'm that bright supremacist. I'm the bright supremacist here. I'm an open bright supremacist. I say it, not a black supremacist, not a white supremacist. I'm an open bright supremacist. And that means that I stand for logical and rational thinking, for intelligence of my people, the copper-colored people. And if those of you who are listening to me along the way of different races, you agree, disagree, whatever, that's fine. You can agree. We can agree to disagree. You don't like what I'm saying, that's fine. You don't have to like what I'm saying. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to, you can give it a thumbs up. You can say, oh, this guy's full of crap. But just say I'm full of crap because you logically thought about what I said. Don't use emotion and say that I'm full of crap because you don't like my words. Just be real about what you don't like. Be real about what you don't like, and base it on that. Don't base it on, oh, I just don't like what he's saying just because. Hey, life ain't about just because. Life is about reality and what it is that is being presented to you. Like I said, I'm all about presenting logical and rational thinking to my people. That's what I'm all about. That's all I've ever been about. I don't want nobody believing in me. I'm not interested in being a YouTube personality. I'm not interested in a bunch of views like that. If they come, so be it. I'm not interested in the monetization money. If it comes, so be it. Because I was monetized before. I had my channel up before this. And then, like I said, I had to learn the hard way about the YouTube algorithms and certain things they don't want you to say. They want to censor you. If you say certain things, it hurts people's feelings and whatnot. I'm like, wow. Nobody gave a damn about our feelings. Nobody gave a damn about our feelings. Nobody gave a damn about how we felt about stuff. Okay, yeah, give me a call right now. My wife's saying that everything is okay now. So give it a call. What's the number again? Yeah. Give it a call now. Let's see. We're just testing this out. 929-430-5191. Give it a call now. All right. Oh, and don't forget, I'm going to be doing the marijuana show. I'm going to be doing the marijuana podcast because, it's coming in. Okay, take that call. I'll answer. Venzetta, how you doing? Venzetta, Enra Venzetta. Can you hear?
Good, great.
Okay, good.
I just wanted to add, when you were talking about the slave ships earlier, I actually did some thinking about that, and I found out that when you look up the slave ship diagram, like in actual in-depth history online, it takes you to a history website in the UK, not in America. You know how it says .org and whatever, it says .UK, and I thought that was strange. But I read it, and I actually clicked on the diagram, and it was actually published in a newspaper article, like in the 1800s era, by a guy in the UK, and it was used as propaganda to get those people over there to be against the the slavery that was going on over here. So there were never any ships. The diagram didn't even originate in the U.S. So when people are using that diagram, it doesn't exist here.
You know what? It's funny you say that. This must be telepathy again, because that's what we definitely dealing with, telepathic power and energy, which I'm going to go into deeper in High and Mighty Talks. Because I was just thinking, something kept making me look at that diagram they always show you where the slaves is all laid this way and laid that way, and they look all and it just looks all perfect, and when they laid this way and they laid, it don't look, something's off about that. You know, so you're right in saying that. I forgot the guy's name,
but he just made it up.
Yeah. Just like the Willie Lynch papers. Just like all that Willie Lynch crap. A lot of this stuff is made up stuff. I'm not saying that they didn't bring Africans over into America. They did that in the beginning, but that stopped in around 1808 and whatnot. They brought a very small percentage of Africans over here into America, because we know how Africans look and we know how we look. We're totally different. Our looks, our hair, our skin is totally different from the tribal African people who they would have been bringing over here, because the tribal Africans had a certain look. And we don't have that look here in America. In fact, I said a lot of people who are claiming African, who are in Africa, who can grow afros and have braids and actually have hair and our genotype and phenotype, those are really Americans. Those are really ethnic Americans who went into Africa, because a lot of our people were brought into Africa or went into Africa on their own, but there was slave ships that came here, and after a while, from a business standpoint, you could tell they just stopped bringing slaves into America, because to try and get people to do what you say, and these people don't understand the language, you beating them and killing them and things like that. Half of them dying when they come over here, half of them got disease, half of them getting diseases from the Caucasians. And they was all diseased up and whatnot with all kinds of syphilis and gonorrhea and smallpox. So you had half the people coming over here dying. So it didn't make sense to bring over a bunch of people who could not speak the language, who you had to beat damn near to death to do one thing, who constantly trying to escape, who trying to kill themselves, rather die than work, because you done took them out their environment. How are you going to make money from people like that? How are you going to enslave people who don't even understand you? That's not true. What they did was take the people, meaning our people who were already in America, who were familiar with Europeans and Caucasians and knew the English language, because we seen them coming over here. We learned the language from them and the English, and we just they basically just start calling us Africans and threw us into slavery, took land from us, because nobody ever addresses the first one of the quite a few ethnic American people owned African slaves, like this guy Anthony Johnson, who had his land taken from him. He was an ethnic American. Crispus Attucks was an ethnic American. They use terms like Native American. No, these were ethnic Americans who were descendants of the Mesoamerican, who have Mesoamerican ancestry, like all black people, so-called black people here in North America who went through the slave trade and family been here. We have ethnic American ancestry through our Mesoamerican ancestors. We're not native. We're native, but we're not no Indians and all that. We're Mesoamerican. And I said this before. All this stuff that they call Indian culture is really Mesoamerican, ripped off Mesoamerican ancestry. That's why you can see our people with pictures with the feathers in their hair, the bows and arrows, all that. We was doing that over here in the Americas. But you got a lot of this contingent, these Pan-Africanists and these black conscious people who's trying to blacken all of that out. So these people got an agenda. Straight up. They got an agenda. But I thank you for calling in.
Yep.
MENTELLECT. All right. We're about to wrap this up. Oh, we got another call. How you take it? How you take it? At the top? Oh, they hung up. Okay. All right. So we're gonna wrap this up because I gotta get ready for MENTELLECT Radio. Like I said, we're getting it all together. We're gonna keep doing it, and we're gonna keep on giving more content. Please subscribe to High and Mighty Talks. I thank y'all for watching the High and Mighty Talk, these installments on MENTELLECT channel. But I would much rather you watch and subscribe to High and Mighty Talks, and also subscribe to MENTELLECT Patreon. For $15 a month, you hear all the raw and uncut broadcasts. You hear all the stuff that I record specifically for MENTELLECT Patreon. You know, that's Patreon, REON, MENTELLECT Patreon. Just go on there, subscribe, $15 a month, you get everything. But that's it. We're going to close out in the name of Amen. By the power of Amen. In Amen we trust. In Amen we thank. And in Amen we continue forward forever. That's it. I'm out.